Did you see the representative tournament? A boy spoke. Yeah, honestly, those guys were so strong. I am so nervous about being placed in the same class as them, his friend replied. Yeah, I don't want to get entangled with them either, the boy said. But why did they allow that ugly girl as our representative? His friend said with an annoyed look on his face. Yeah, I couldn't believe they even let her live. I thought the whole family was exterminated a decade ago, he said as they walked down the road towards the Portal Dome situated in Soren. But the award ceremony was crazy, his friend changed the topic. Wasn't it the first time SSS rank hunters got so close to fighting each other on a public stage? He questioned. True, their presence was so scary. I talked to a guy who was on the stage. He said he couldn't even breathe properly, his friend replied. The Portal Dome had many people who gathered there to send off their children to study for 4 years inside the World Academy. The students could only return home for 1 month of holidays each year inside the World Academy. Many parents and older siblings could be seen hugging their kids before they went inside the Portal Dome to teleport to the famous World Academy. In another section that was not crowded at all so that VIP or famous people could enter easily, many expensive cars and a lot of security could be seen. But there was another section in the Portal Dome that was reserved for the children of the family that had a seat in the High Council. This section had less security, but each security guard was a high ranker. A car arrived at this section, and a young boy who seemed like 15 or 16 years old stepped out. He had light green hair with black eyes. Young master, you should behave properly inside the World Academy, said a man with a butler uniform and glasses. I know, replied the young boy as he looked up at the huge Portal Dome. Please get acquainted with Leonard Tervian, he is in 2nd year. The family head is trying to have good relations with the World Association chairman, he said. And be careful while interacting with other elite family children, the butler continued. And if you have any issues or conflicts, notify the family immediately. Did you even listen to what I said? The butler spoke hurriedly as the boy kept looking around. Chill out, I am not a kid, the young boy replied with a laugh. Please don't make trouble for the normal students there, and also make sure nobody gets any proof of your wrongdoings, the butler said. Take it easy, I just need to avoid other influential people. I will only mess with those who can't do anything to me, he innocently smiled back at the butler. The butler sighed as he put his hand on his forehead. Okay, bye Tilda, the boy said as he turned and entered the Portal Dome. The World Academy security was too far to listen to their conversation, and spying on a member of an elite family could even cost them their life. They knew that all they had to do was to make sure no harm was done to anyone present there. Half an hour ago at the Greville estate. Stephen, let Emmy be in charge of his tech. I have given her the tasks, Asher said. As you wish, young master, Stephen replied. As Arthur and Sylvie were both busy today due to their work, Stephen was handling all the arrangements for Amelia and Asher to go to the World Academy. In the couple of days, Sylvie still hadn't had a proper talk with Asher about Alyssa. She took Verena's advice and let the matter rest for now, thinking that Asher had already understood what she told him. Also, do a separate arrangement for another building for my company, Asher said. And charge it from whatever is left in my budget. That was given to me, Asher said. Both Amelia and Asher were to be given 10 billion or when they turned 17, but Asher had asked Sylvie for that money early for establishing his tech. Sylvie did not mind, as Asher had a good brain for business and their personal family assets were around 250 plus billion or. Although Abyss Corporation was worth more than $1 trillion, that money was not the personal asset of the Greville family. That also did not include the secret family vault that only Nathan and Arthur could access right now. As an elite family, they had many restrictions that were ruled out by the High Council so that no elite family could fully control the flow of economy and power in the country they were from. And Abyss Guild was also under many rules and restrictions they had to follow, but because an SSS rank hunter was the guild master, the restrictions were a bit loose because Nathan's authority in Somalia was equal to one of the 3 heads of the World Association. Is your son in 3rd year or 4th year? Asher asked Stephen. He is currently in the 3rd year, and he has already applied for the Abyss Guild, despite me being against it, Stephen said as he sighed. He said last time he wanted to be a bodyguard for you rather than being the head butler, Stephen said. But if you need anything, you should tell him, he will be able to help you greatly inside the World Academy, he spoke. Let him follow his dreams, Asher told Stephen as they arrived outside. Where is Amelia? Asher looked around, but he didn't see Amelia anywhere. Ah, Sir Damien took Lady Amelia in one of your cars, young master, a guard replied to Asher. Damien, Asher spoke. Ah, he told me that you had allowed him to use your cars 3 days ago, so I didn't stop him. The guard got nervous as he thought he had angered Asher. Leave it, did the security team follow them? Asher asked because Damien was the one who was driving it. Ah, yes, the guard nodded. Stephen, make sure the car gets back in the garage and don't allow anyone else in there from now on, Asher said as he sat in his car. Stephen stepped back a bit and saw the car leave the estate. The security team followed Asher as Emmy was not present today. She was busy with the work Asher had given her. And Asher was the heir now, Emmy was his personal assistant. Although Asher knew that now that he was the heir, Emmy would not inform his parents about his actions, he was still careful by only giving her plans that were business related. Only Tom knew half of Asher's plans. At first, he didn't want to take part in it, but remembering that his life and his sister's life were in Asher's hand, he quietly did as Asher told him to do. And his current mission was to find some people that were part of Asher's organization in his previous life. Many elite family kids were traveling towards the Portal Dome, and many had already entered it. At the VIP section of the Portal Dome, some rich kids saw a black supercar with a bunch of cars behind it arriving there. Wow, there are only 5 models of this car in the world, a boy saw the car and got surprised. Some adults also got curious about the identity of the people that had just arrived there, contemporary romance. Damien got out of the driver's seat, and Amelia stepped out as well. Both of them attracted the attention of many people, but Amelia got recognized pretty quickly due to her eyes. Her beauty made many boys stare at her, but nobody could gather the courage to talk to the daughter of the infamous Greville family. See, I am a good driver, Damien said as he smiled. Sure, but you should be more worried about my brother right now, Amelia spoke, making Damien cough. He is my best friend, surely he won't mind. Right. Damien was confident when he took the car, but now he got worried thinking about Asher's reaction. Well, you already got beaten to a pulp by him, so he might just leave you alone. Amelia joked. Damien smiled seeing that her spirit was back as she was pretty depressed for the past few days about her loss in the tournament. He wanted to cheer her up, so he decided to amuse her a bit by pranking Asher a bit. Let's go in, I hope we are in the same class, Damien said as both of them walked towards the Portal Dome to enter the World Academy. At the same time, at the reserved section of the Portal Dome, Sam Allister got out of his car. He touched his stomach as he got out. Fuck this, his face was pale, and his expression changed when he touched his ribs. 2 hours ago, Father, I tried my best, but... Sam was speaking but stopped as he saw his father throwing a glass of wine towards him. Sam winced in pain as he felt the sting of the glass shards piercing his skin. He quickly opened his eyes and assessed the damage, thankful that the glass hadn't hit him directly in the face. Why can't you be like your big brother, you useless bastard? His father screamed. He stepped closer to Sam and kicked him in the ribs, causing him to hit the wall and bleed from his head. I'm sorry, Sam started repeating his words, fearing his father's beatings. Listen, just live a quiet life inside the World Academy. Your brother is already working with Leonard Tervian, so just live like you have for the last 15 years, his father shouted at him. Sam got irritated remembering his interaction with his father. Why do I need to suffer like this? He said as he stepped into the portal dome. Asher arrived at the portal dome and stepped out. If he had arrived 10 minutes later, he would have been late. He saw that the reserved section was empty, which meant that all the kids of the elite families had already arrived and entered the portal dome. He got near the entrance of the portal dome and saw the staff members running in a hurry towards him. You are late. Let's go. We need to hurry up. The staff member told Asher with panic on his face. Asher indifferently looked at him and kept walking at the same pace. The staff member was fidgeting with his fingers because of Asher's behavior. Excuse me, as the year representative, you are supposed to give a speech. The staff member tried to make Asher hurry to the portal. So, Asher spoke as he kept walking. There are 2 representatives, Asher said, making the staff member a bit awkward. In the opening ceremony, both representatives would give their speeches, but this time, due to Alyssa's involvement, they wanted Asher to speak first, and then they would have told Alyssa to not do it due to some issues. Asher smirked and kept walking slowly. So obvious, he thought to himself. Asher knew that the future had already changed considerably from the moment he interfered in all these events. Many events could happen earlier than expected, and he was prepared for it. Even Arthur and Sylvie did not know that Asher was not out of the Greville estate for only training in the dungeons. He remembered that in his previous life Alyssa had somehow won the year representative tournament in her second year, but the faculty council raised many issues, and she had to step down. Right now, the official rankings were not out, and Alyssa and Asher were still considered rank 1 for now. The faculty council could not make Alyssa step down by undermining her credibility. The argument between Nathan and Dalton put even more pressure on them. So, they wanted Alyssa to voluntarily step down from her position by pressuring her considerably before the assessment test began. Asher arrived at the small teleportation gate and slowly stepped into it, and after him, the staff member also stepped in. Asher came out and saw a clear blue sky and felt the sun shining brightly in the sky. The temperature was a bit warmer than it was in Soren, and the air felt a bit fresher. Asher looked and saw the huge architecture in front of him. The World Academy was a vast academy that covered almost 30% of the floating island, which was quite huge in itself. The academy itself was separated into many blocks for different purposes and years. But the architecture was very carefully planned to make it huge but still aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Even Licia, being a princess, found the World Academy quite amusing to look at. Despite the technological advancement, the look of these buildings made it look a bit like a huge castle. Richard, a man came shouting. I told you to hurry. Why are you so late? He shouted. Asher looked at the man who was wearing a white-colored robe with the World Academy insignia on it. He was bald and looked like a middle-aged old man. Professor? It is not my fault. Richard, who was a staff member, stuttered a bit and signaled at Asher. So, you are Asher von Greville. He looked at Asher, but his face did not show his annoyance at Asher. He was an assistant professor, so he was personally present to take the children of elite families and guide them to the opening ceremony. And what if I am? Asher replied with his indifferent face. The bald guy became even more annoyed at Asher's attitude, but he knew that Asher's social standing was far above his own, so he could not do anything to him. Smiling face casual date is just a click away. Ads by Pub Future. Okay, move fast, we need to be at the opening ceremony. The speech for the year representative will start soon. The bald man turned and started walking. Use that hoverboard and follow behind Richard. He instructed. World Academy was quite huge, and the distance between one building and another was quite significant. Students were given hoverboards as a means of travel in the outer side of the World Academy, which consisted of buildings or places that were rarely used. No hoverboards were allowed in the inner premises as that was the place where all the student dorms and the classes were held. Please follow me for now, Richard said as Asher followed and stepped on the hoverboard. The hoverboard was not that fast. These hoverboards were used by making use of runes that engraved the wind element and other complicated stuff in it. This was the product of magic engineering. The outer side of the World Academy was empty today as most of the students were in their dorms or were attending the opening ceremony. But despite that, a few senior year students could still be seen walking here and there. There were many who stopped to look at Asher due to his amazing facial features but also due to his family background. Wait, wasn't that guy Asher Greville? A guy wearing the uniform of the World Academy pointed at Asher. Maybe, but he is the representative for the first years, right? Why is he so late? A girl replied. They kept traveling as they arrived at the checkpoint where the inner area of the academy was located. Asher looked at the security gate that he needed to pass through and register as the student as well. Can you stand there? Richard pointed at a platform that was present in front of the oval-looking gate. Asher walked onto the gate, and his body was scanned to see if he brought anything other than what was allowed inside the World Academy. Please place any special storage device on the scanner. A robotic voice was heard by Asher as a green square-shaped board came out. Asher placed his spatial ring, and the contents. Inside it was scanned. Checking complete, you can take it back, the robotic voice said. Asher took the ring back and looked straight ahead as light scanned his eyes. Identity confirmed, student name Asher von Raven Greville, first year. Welcome to the World Academy. A robotic voice was heard by Asher as he looked at the oval gate that opened. The bald guy looked at Asher, who stepped in and walked through the gate. Asher looked at the vast garden, and many students could be seen walking there. But Asher did not seem like he enjoyed the beautiful view in front of him much, seeing his indifferent face. Smiling face, casual date is just a click away. Why are you guys so late? A female professor came in and looked at the three of them. Whatever, we need to get you ready and take you to the auditorium as well, the professor spoke hurriedly. Do you have the uniform in your spatial ring? The female professor questioned him. I do, Asher replied. Great, let's hurry to the auditorium first, and you can have a look around the academy later. She told him. Asher quietly followed the female professor and did not speak a word the whole time. A couple of students noticed him and started talking about him. Asher was quite popular due to his performance at the tournament, and many people got excited seeing him. After a while, Asher found himself in front of a quiet building, which was the auditorium hall where the opening ceremony would take place. The professor took him to a room behind the stage where he needed to change from his casual attire. Please be fast, the professor said as she left him. Asher stretched and took out his black-colored uniform that had many golden designs and the insignia of the World Academy on his upper arm area. Normally, the student uniform was white, but the student council wore a black uniform that differentiated them from normal students. Asher changed into his uniform and looked at himself in the mirror. His indifferent face and his red eyes gave him quite an intimidating look, but his charm value was quite high, making him look good in almost any clothes. The uniforms were only mandatory during the official classes, and during their free time, students wear the clothes they like. Asher stepped out and saw Alyssa, who was standing wearing a similar black uniform with the same black coat and black pants. She was a bit pale, and it made Asher frown. Why are you not sitting in the auditorium? Asher questioned her. The professor told me to go with you, Alyssa replied, remembering that the bald guy had told her to wait for Asher and not go alone. Asher frowned but did not say anything else. Okay, but don't overuse your mana every day. I don't want a useless person on my team, Asher said to Alyssa, contemporary romance. Don't worry, I know my limits, Alyssa replied. They got in through another door and saw a huge number of students filling the auditorium. However, since the lighting was quite dull, nobody noticed them enter and sit in the front row. Asher and Alyssa both sat on the left side of the stage's front row, which was currently empty. Attention! Professor Arman spoke as he appeared on stage. Upon seeing him, the crowd of students became quiet and looked at the stage. Arman stepped back, and an old man appeared on stage. His presence alone was quite heavy, making some students feel as if they were holding weights on their shoulders. However, many of them were fine because the old man was suppressing his powers. A lot of students were excited to see the old man as he was none other than the strongest human in the world, the famous SSS rank hunter and principal of the World Academy. "Welcome to the World Academy," he spoke. "Welcome to the World Academy," the old man said. Clap, clap, clap. The sound of clapping reverberated throughout the whole auditorium. The principal's white coat was a magnificent sight to behold, embellished with intricate golden decorations on his shoulders. It exuded an aura of wisdom and authority. The prestigious symbol of the World Academy was emblazoned proudly on the back of his coat. Stormscale armor, Asher thought in his mind as he looked at the old man on the stage. As many of you already know, I am Farnas Calmont, principal of the World Academy, the old man smiled. He looked older than Nathan and Dalton because he was a lot older than Nathan. I am one of the 11 SSS rank hunters, he introduced himself humbly. I founded this World Academy with a dream to make a place where all talents could learn equally. You might find our curriculum a bit harsh, but it is necessary to train your guys to be the best. The world might seem a bit peaceful, but you never know when another calamity might fall upon us. This academy was made as my dream to nurture your spirits as well as your strength. Farnas's words ignited a fire in the hearts of the youth. That will be all from me. I will let Professor Arman explain the rest, Farnas spoke as he disappeared into thin air. Many students wanted to hear more from Farnas as it was not every day they could hear or see the strongest man in the world. I am Professor Arman, and I teach Black Element, Arman introduced himself to others. The World Academy does not hinder you from fighting each other, but you all must follow the rules. He raised his hand as a hologram appeared behind him. As you see here, we have 5 classes each year, and each class consists of 200 students. The hologram showed classes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right now, you will be distributed according to your evaluation by the Faculty Council. But you will have no individual rankings until the assessment test, which will happen in a few months. This made many students look at each other and start talking. You will soon get an assessment system like your seniors here, and your ranks are everything here, he spoke. Before coming here, you were given your dorm keys. In your dorm rooms, you will find the device that will help you follow up with everything in the World Academy. The hologram changed to show the various facilities on the floating island. The World Academy had everything you needed, from entertainment, food to knowledge. You will find out about your class and the schedule you have for now, Arman said. Each class will have one professor as its proctor, and they will explain everything to you in more detail, Arman said. And make sure you avoid your seniors for the first month before you learn everything about the rules of the World Academy, Arman joked, and it made a few seniors cough who were sitting on the right side of the stage. Next, I would like to invite the winners of the year representative tournament for the first years. Arman said as the crowd started clapping, but not all of them were excited to see them. Let's have some words from Asher von Greville, Arman said as he looked at the seats where Asher and Alyssa were sitting. Wasn't the girl representative supposed to come first? One of the seniors questioned among his friends. Idiot, did you forget who the girl representative for this year is? His friend hit him on the head lightly. Asher did not stand up and looked at Alyssa. You go first, he spoke and closed his eyes. But I am not the one he called, Alyssa said, with no emotions on her face. Contemporary romance. She could not guess what Asher was thinking with his indifferent face, which confused her a lot. However, she did not mind him like others. Additionally, the fact that Asher was the only person she could use for her revenge made her cooperate with him. I don't want people who can't stand for themselves. Asher did not even look at her. Alyssa stared at Asher and stood up as she remembered a certain event from the past. She hovered to the podium, making everyone confused. Miss Alyssa, Arman did not expect Alyssa to come up first. He could not send her down now she was already on the stage. This will anger the faculty council surely, Arman sighed as he talked to himself. I am Alyssa, your year representative, Alyssa spoke, but all the students started bowing towards her. I won the tournament by my own strength, and I will continue to do so, she spoke with confidence. If you want to hate me, you are free to do so, she ended her speech, but the booing did not stop. She quietly stepped and sat beside Asher, who opened his eyes. His eyes were shining red, and his aura was a bit cold that even Alyssa, who barely knew him, felt something odd. Step. Unlike Alyssa, Asher slowly walked up, and seeing him walk, the booing stopped. Who in their right mind would even openly confront the heir of the infamous Greville family? He came up to the podium and looked forward. His crimson eyes made many students nervous, even some seniors got affected by his gaze. His cold and indifferent face made it impossible for someone else to know what he was thinking. I am a person who doesn't like to repeat things I say, he spoke. I hate annoying people. And I don't care about all you pathetically weak people sitting here. His words enraged many students, but nobody could oppose him openly. The only reason I am at this academy is for the trial grounds. His words perked up some people's ears in the audience. And don't forget, this floating island is still in Somalia. His words were targeted towards certain people, and they knew Asher was talking about them. Many students were cursing him, but what they could do. Even the children of elite families did not want to mess with him. All elite families have specifically told their children to avoid the Greville family. Hidden quest completed. Quest. Become the source of hatred for the first years. Closing square bracket. Reward. 1000 fate points. Asher smirked as he stepped down and sat beside Alyssa quietly. Nobody clapped, and the whole auditorium was silent. Ahem. The opening ceremony is finished. Please go to your dorm rooms. The staff outside will help you all. Arman took over and ended the ceremony. Asher's words were very bold. He had challenged the authority of every person of the elite family present in the World Academy. Even the fact he was here solely for the trial grounds would make the topic of discussion for the top rankers inside the World Academy. Alyssa did not say anything to Asher and sat quietly beside him. Arman appeared in front of Asher, and Asher looked up at him. I would advise you not to provoke others like this, Arman told Asher. What can they even do? Asher questioned Arman. Don't make yourself the target of everyone's hatred, Arman advised Asher. Asher stood up and looked at Arman, while Alyssa was also waiting for Asher's reply. I know my strength and limits well, Professor, Asher spoke. And I think you should know best about what we Grevilles are capable of doing, Asher reminded Arman of a certain someone. Arman frowned, remembering the person Asher mentioned. Now, if you will excuse us, we need to go. Asher turned, and Alyssa also stood up and followed after him. Arman was silent, and he appeared in front of Farnas, who was sitting in his office. This boy is like watching young Nathaniel Greville, but that guy wore his emotions on his face, Farnas spoke. This will create some chaos in the student council and among senior year students, Arman spoke. Leave him. Did you make the changes I told you to make in the class arrangement? Farnas asked. Yes, Principal. I have placed Kevin Whiteheart in a separate class from Asher Greville, Arman replied. What do you think of Asher Greville? Farnas asked, as he was curious. His talents remind me of Ivor. but he is different from him, Arman honestly replied to Farnas. Well, I think we will have 2 more Grevils in the World Academy soon, Farnas spoke. What? Arman was confused. Well, the whole High Council knows that we are taking Silvus Grandis's grandchildren for a special class because of his favor for creating this academy, Farnas spoke. Recently, Nathaniel Greville and Alfred Raven both used their combined authority to enroll Iva's kids with those 2 as well, he said as a token of Greville and Raven family floated in front of him. Those 2 old foxes used their decades-old authority now, because they know they have 4 geniuses in one generation, Farnas said lightly. Well, our job is to teach them. They will arrive next year, and 4 of them will be placed in a special class for a course of 4 years, Farnas spoke. Make sure this news does not fall into other ears, Farnas looked at Arman. Okay. Arman nodded with a serious face. Ah, this boy is quite gutsy, a man with a long beard laughed upon seeing the speech in front of him. That is just stupid, a woman retorted. Professor Dahlia, you need to handle the matter of that girl carefully, a man with glasses spoke. I agree with Professor Gilson. Tell the student council president to control these 2 properly, another professor spoke. Thinking you can control a Greville. What a joke, the man with the long beard scoffed. Professor Neiman, I think you are forgetting that we, the faculty council, are still above the students, the woman replied to the man with the long beard. Oh, well, I don't want any ruffle with the elite families, so count me out of it, Neiman shrugged his shoulders. From what Neiman had seen, he could see that Asher was trying to divert the attention of the crowd of students towards him from Alyssa. This boy was not like this last time, Neiman thought when he saw Asher's behavior. You guys can continue this useless meeting. I will head out, Neiman said as he stood up and left the room. Seeing Neiman leave, some other professors present also left the room. I heard that Professor Neiman had taught Asher Greville for a week before, a professor spoke in the meeting. Then shouldn't he be the one that should mentor that boy? Another professor spoke. Well, we cannot force Professor Neiman anyway, Gilson spoke as he fixed his glasses. Let's wait until the assessment exam, Gilson proposed in front of the faculty council. Outside the room, Professor Neiman was recalling his past interaction with Asher. He remembered how hard he had tried to make Asher learn rune magic and other stuff, but he could not make him do it. He certainly is not a type of person who agitates his enemy before striking him, he thought in his mind. Neiman was a highly intelligent person, being the head of the rune department of the World Academy. He had met Asher when he was 9 years old after his parents wanted someone to try and teach him. Neiman remembered he would occasionally try to take Asher's outlook on some stuff, trying to figure out his thought process. He had done this because Asher was not a kid who showed emotions like others. But Neiman himself was amazed by the insight of the young boy. Surely he is not protecting that girl, Neiman had thought, but gave up on that quickly. He was sure that Arthur and Sylvie would definitely stop him if he had shown his interest in Alyssa. Ads by Pub Future. But all the events he had heard about Asher and his impulsive acts were not something that aligned with Asher's personality according to Neiman. But again, Neiman had only taught Asher for a week before even he himself gave up on him. If a person did not want to accept knowledge, then even the best teacher in the world could not help that person. And that person was exactly what Asher was in his previous life. Only Asher could know the reason behind it. Neiman let go of his thoughts because he had no way of knowing what was going on in Asher's head. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Asher and Alyssa got out and saw a staff member who gave them a key to their dorm building that was specially made for the first-year student council. The staff member showed them the way, and they both arrived at a 10-floor building that was separated into 2 halves with a unique design. This type of architecture was only possible due to highly advanced magic engineering. Normal buildings would easily fall if made like this, but it was not a normal world. This is the building that was made for the top rankers among the first-year students, the staff member explained. Right now, it's empty, but the top 10 students will stay here after the assessment test. He gestured with his hands as a black door with blue designs opened. That block is for boys, and this one is for girls, he explained. But what if there is an unequal number of boys and girls? Alyssa questioned, wondering why the blocks were made of 5 floors each. That's where the fun part is. Actually, the building of the top rankers can move around the floors depending on the gender of the person that lives on that floor, the staff explained as he looked at Asher, ignoring Alyssa. Asher was quiet because he knew about it. He was a ranker in his second year of the World Academy in his previous life. So if the rank 1 is a girl, that floor will change from the right block to the left. This will make sure the girls get their privacy as well. Right now, both of you will live on floor 5 of your respective blocks. As the floor goes up, the facilities in them also increase, but all the floors are better than what other students will live in. He did not need to speak about this because just looking around, you could see that this sort of architecture was a luxury that only a select few could get. But after the assessment test, depending on your rank in the top 10, you can go higher or lower from floor 5, he said as the lift arrived. They were currently present in the lobby room, which was a common area for the top 10 rankers to interact with each other. Your ID bracelets and other stuff are already present in your rooms, so you can now go and rest, he said as he left the building. Asher looked to his right as both the lifts arrived at the same time. He did not speak to Alyssa as both of them quietly went and got into their lifts. Asher saw the lift stop at floor 5 after doing a retina scan and confirming his identity. Asher saw a huge room that screamed luxury, but him being the heir of one of the richest families, this was not a big deal for him. The huge living room and some black doors with golden design could be seen all around the room. There was a kitchen but most of the food will be served by the chef, so Asher did not care much about it. He saw the Mana training room and went past it. Right now he was at the A+ rank and would soon break through to D rank. His speed was even faster than Evergreville, but it was all due to the extra stats he had consumed during the hunt he did in the dungeons. He had also experienced it in his previous life, so he knew where everything was. He entered the living room and saw a bracelet with a box beside it. He picked up the bracelet and wore it. This was the identification card that would be used for daily life inside the World Academy. He touched a blinking red spot on the bracelet, and a hologram appeared in front of him. This was an all-purpose device used inside the World Academy for everything, including trading grade points to seeing your progress and rank. Even the schedule of your class could be accessed from this device. Asher touched his name on the hologram, and it revealed the content inside it. Student, Asher von Ravengrevel. Class 1. First year representative. Current hunter rank, A+, not confirmed. GP, 1000. Class 1. Asher asked as he looked at the class he was assigned to. In his previous life, he had been in Class 3 with Kevin, Elena, and Eva. Alyssa had been placed in Class 1 as a result of Asher's efforts to change events. It was a welcome change for him, contemporary romance. Trying to save your little successor, Asher thought, knowing that it was Farnes Calmont, the principal of World Academy, who had made the decision. Only Farnes had the authority to interfere in such matters. Even the faculty council could only make suggestions. Farnes made all the decisions. But there were bigger targets than Kevin that Asher needed to eliminate. Everything he had done so far was to ensure that Alyssa would choose him as the medium for her revenge. He knew from his previous life that stopping Alyssa was impossible. She would rather die than give up on her revenge. I wonder how those bastards will react, Asher muttered, thinking of the student council. They were the only problem that he needed to deal with carefully. No first-year students were considered a threat, but it was different for senior-year students. They were more powerful and experienced than the younger students Asher had fought so far. But it wasn't too difficult for him. His plan had already begun. Asher slumped on the couch and looked at the box in front of him. He smiled and said, "Let the show begin," as he closed his eyes. Slash 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 slash. If you want to support me. It was the day after the opening ceremony, and many students were wearing their uniforms. The uniform was compulsory only during theory classes, and students were allowed to wear whatever they wanted outside those classes. The schedule was already distributed among all 1,000 selected students for this year. Some students were unhappy to learn that they were not in the same class as their friends. Each class was made so that no class had too many or too few talented individuals. World Academy actively encouraged its students to compete with each other and instilled the idea that they should always try to become better than others. Although there were many students who would reach the limit of their potential while at World Academy and eventually accept that they could not progress any further. If two individuals put the same amount of hard work into something, the person with more talent will always win. If your potential was low, no amount of hard work could place you on a similar pedestal as a genius who put a similar amount of work into their skills. World Academy was a place for elites to grow and understand the nature of the society they lived in. Despite the fact that individuals with so much power roamed the world, every country was mostly peaceful and free from criminal activities on a public level. But where there was light, darkness would also be present. In a world where your strength determined your social standing, there would be people who would misuse their powers for the worse. "Well, it's a shame that Asher is in class 1. Damien told Amelia as they went towards their classroom. There were 5 blocks that were separated for classes 1 to 5. Currently, Damien and Amelia were walking through block 1 to block 2 for their class. "What's fun with being in the same class as my brother?" Amelia spoke with a frown on her face. "Oh, come on, you know he wasn't speaking about us in that speech," Damien spoke, barely stopping himself from laughing. Amelia looked at Damien's face as her face turned red. Contemporary romance. "Remove that memory from your mind," Amelia said as she grabbed Damien's collar. Both of them were wearing a white-colored uniform with a gray-colored bracelet on their wrists. "Don't get angry, but PFFGH, Damien could not handle it and started laughing loudly in the hallway. Amelia tightened her grip as her face grew even redder. "Huff, huff, okay, I will not tease you anymore." Damien tried to calm her down before she got even more angry at him. He was laughing, remembering yesterday evening when they met Asher to chat a bit. They had arrived early, and Amelia was still annoyed by Asher's speech, which even targeted her as she had also lost in the tournament. She was ranting about Asher with Damien as they were sitting in a fairly empty area, which was the park of the VIP dormitories where they were living with other fairly influential kids. Unfortunately for her, Damien had not told her that he had invited Asher as well. "I am here just for the trial ground," Amelia imitated Asher's voice, making Damien laugh, but he stopped and closed his mouth immediately. "And did you see him when he said, 'Don't get in my way'?" Amelia laughed, making fun of Asher. "Oh, really?" Asher spoke as she touched Amelia's shoulder. "Kyaaaaa tilde." Amelia jumped, and her face got pale, like Damien's, as she saw Asher. "Having fun?" Asher questioned with his indifferent look. No, it was him who started it by laughing at you," Amelia pointed at Damien, selling him out. Smiling face casual date is just a click away. Ads by Pub Future. "Wait, what?" Damien hesitated, seeing Amelia's pleading face. "Whatever did you guys call me here for?" Asher changed the topic, seeing that they were doing something stupid again. "Yeah, What class are you in? We are in class 2. Damien spoke. I am in class 1, Asher told him. Listening to him, Amelia sighed in relief knowing that they were not in the same class as Asher. Any issues? Asher frowned at Amelia. And no, nothing, Amelia spoke. I remember I needed to sort my room a bit so I need to leave. Bye Tilda. Amelia hurriedly left Asher and Damien alone. So what did you really call me here for? Asher sat down beside Damien. Coming back to the present, this was the reason Damien was still teasing Amelia. She would rarely show any emotions, so it was pretty embarrassing for Amelia. Oh, why is there so much commotion here? Damien looked over Amelia and saw many students standing outside the classroom. Amelia turned abruptly, releasing her grip on Damien's collar. What's happening? She spoke as some students turned towards both of them. Oh, it's Amelia Greville, one of the girls spoke, gathering the attention of other students. Maybe she can help, she said. Amelia and Damien walked up to them and asked for the reason behind them gathering at the door. A fight is happening, a girl replied nervously as she pointed inside the classroom. What? Damien said, and he went to the door and saw a boy kneeling down in front of a pink-haired girl. Amelia came closer to see what was happening and she saw the same scene. Now what were you saying? Alyssa spoke. The boy couldn't speak due to the pressure of gravity on him. Release him, Amelia said, causing Alyssa to look at her. Alyssa stopped her spell, and the boy finally relaxed and crawled a bit away from her. What are you doing? Amelia asked. He challenged my authority as the first-year representative, Alyssa replied as she put the metallic mask that was on the table on her face. The half mask covered half of her face below her eyes. It didn't completely cover her scars, but its main purpose was to maintain a constant supply of oxygen for Alyssa. She had received it for signing the deal with Asher. At first, she wanted to refuse, but seeing that it would also help her panic attacks, she easily agreed to use it. The rest of the students also left, seeing that the fight was resolved. But using mana outside of duels is not allowed, Amelia said to her. Smiling face, casual date is just a click away. I am part of the student council and I did not break any of the rules, Alyssa replied calmly. Yeah. Why are you speaking so much when he was the one who wanted to fight first? Vanessa said. He was the one who was shouting and saying that she did not deserve to win the tournament or whatnot, Vanessa explained, annoyed. Amelia was confused why nobody was talking so rudely towards her, fully knowing her background. Okay, let's calm down. There's no need to fight over this, Damien interjected so that another fight didn't begin. Amelia, let's leave them alone. We will be late for class like this, Damien reminded Amelia. Never mind, let's go, Amelia said, leaving the class with Damien. Alyssa did not act rudely towards Amelia, knowing that she was Asher's sister. From her perspective, she wanted to avoid any complications with Amelia. She didn't want to let go of her only chance of taking revenge by offending Asher. Should I apologize? Alyssa thought as she sat down, but her inner hatred did not allow her to bow down to anyone, especially people from elite families. 5 minutes ago, the boy had challenged Alyssa, cursing her about her blood. Do you not know that she won the tournament? Vanessa said from her seat. Won. It was just a fluke, the boy laughed, making other students talk with each other. Where did you get this mask from? A mask will not hide your ugly blood, he said with disgust on his face. Go back to your seat, Alyssa turned her head and spoke. What an ugly bitch like you can even do. You are just like that filthy mother of yours, the boy spoke, but he immediately felt the pressure increase upon him. Vanessa, who was about to throw a punch, stopped upon seeing Alyssa use her mana. Alyssa removed her mask, and her eyes looked down at the boy. I wonder what I can do. Alyssa spoke as she gradually increased the pressure on the boy. Wait, what are you doing? Another student stood up from his seat and tried to stop her. But as he spoke, he saw an ice lance started forming above Alyssa. Any issues? Alyssa glared at him. Ah, nothing. He immediately got back to his seat without causing any more ruckus. Other students who had just arrived also stopped at the doorway. They were afraid that a crazy girl like Alyssa might hurt them, so they did not want to get involved. The boy coughed as he struggled to breathe properly, but Alyssa heard Emilia's voice and stopped what she was doing. Going back to the present, the boy was sitting in the back, and some students were even laughing at him for making a joke out of himself. But the boy did not care much about it. I completed your task, he typed a message on his phone while coughing a bit on his seat. That bastard, I will make his life hell in the dual class, Vanessa muttered as she cracked her knuckles. Alyssa looked at her left and found it weird that Vanessa was not avoiding her despite knowing her identity. It was the first time that something like that had happened to her. Don't mind them much. They are just jealous of your strength, Vanessa said as she put her head down on the desk. Many students were now afraid to talk to Alyssa because of her strength. Their hate and disgust for her were high, but her skills and power made it difficult for others to openly mess with her. The fact that she was part of the student council made others avoid her. Asher, who had just gotten out of the lobby in his building, looked at the message on his phone and put it back in his pockets as he transferred 100 GP to the sender of that message. Every student who was entering the classroom was avoiding sitting anywhere near Alyssa. They did not wanted their name to be associated with her in any way. Around 60% of the students at this academy came from a common background, while others were from either a rich family or were part of elite families. Students with a common background saw studying at World Academy as a chance to not only improve their strengths but to also make connections with rich and influential people. This was the reason there were many small factions among students inside the World Academy. It was almost time for class to start when Asher entered the classroom. Seeing him, all the students stopped talking. Asher's reputation was not that good in the World Academy either. His duel with Elena and his way of eliminating students in the tournament was criticized by many people. But what could they do to Asher other than avoid him at all times? Asher looked at the front two rows on the leftmost side of the classroom where Alyssa and Vanessa were sitting together. Asher frowned in his mind seeing Vanessa sitting with Alyssa. He walked up to Alyssa and sat a row behind her. Alyssa also didn't react much to his presence either. She saw Asher as an opportunity and a person who was helping her on his whims. Although she appreciated his help, that was it. Alyssa had long forgotten how to trust others. She was not a person who could now be friendly with others. She was very much like Asher, but her hatred was mostly centered around her enemies, unlike Asher. Asher's inner madness made him unstable and hate almost everything around him. It was a wonder how he was able to communicate with others like a normal person. This was one of his biggest problems in his previous life, which led to him avoiding interacting with others. But now he did not see it as a problem or weakness. He had long embraced his madness as a part of himself, or maybe without realizing it, his madness had already taken over him. Seeing Asher sit quietly, the other students started to talk quietly among themselves. Asher himself sat near the window, ignoring everyone in the class. He looked so handsome, some girls started talking among themselves. Other girls were also stealing glances at Asher from time to time, making some boys jealous. Those boys could only look at Asher with envy. Suddenly, a middle-aged woman came in through the door. She was wearing an overcoat with an insignia of the World Academy. Seeing her, all the students stopped talking and looked in front. She walked up to the table in the middle and sat on the seat, and looked at the students. First of all, congratulations on making it to the World Academy. Her voice was warm, and it made some students have a good impression of her. My name is Elsa Robles, and I am in charge of Class 1, Elsa introduced herself. Hearing her name, many students got surprised. She was one of the SS rank hunters in the world. She had orange-colored hair with black eyes, and despite her calm personality, she looked like a person with a high temper. Some of you might know me, but for those that don't, I am one of the SS rank hunters in the world. Elsa spoke as she produced a ball of flame in her hands. And I specialize in fire magic, she spoke, and the flame in her hand kept changing colors from orange to yellow to blue to green. Students kept looking at the flame with curiosity. Fire magic was one of the easiest magic to learn, but controlling it gets harder and harder as the complexity of the spell increased. So, seeing Elsa's control over the spell surprised many students. For today's class, I will be explaining to you some rules and other things that you need to know about the World Academy, she spoke as the flame died down in her hand. Ads by Pub Future. As you know, there are 5 classes for the first years, and right now, all of you are unranked, she said. The big white screen behind her showed a circle divided into 5 parts. This is the first year building. We have 5 blocks for each class, she pointed towards the screen. And we are in block 1 right now. You all have received the bracelets in your dorm rooms, right? Click on the green light that is present on the bracelet, she spoke. Listening to her, everyone in the class clicked, and information about them was presented in front of them. This bracelet is your ID card, which will be used in almost everything inside the World Academy, Elsa spoke. Your schedule is also present there if anybody wants to check it. Now the main part, inside World Academy, aside from some compulsory subjects, each student is required to choose at least 3 subjects from the list in front of you, Elsa said as the students saw many subjects. Each year, all 5 classes have 3 common subjects: mana manipulation, beast theory, and the dual class, she said. Aside from them, you need to choose other subjects on your own depending on the path you want to take, she explained. World Academy does not force students to take a certain path. Each student can decide the path they want to walk on. But be careful while choosing subjects to take. Once you choose a subject, you have to attend that class for at least a week. Each student can change their chosen subject at most 3 times. So think carefully before choosing those subjects. You will have to study a total of 6 subjects, and if you wish to take more, you can. But remember that your performance in those extra subjects will also affect your ranks at the end of your first year, Elsa said, looking at all the students. Coming to the ranks, but before I explain about it, who can tell me about grade points? Elsa asked, seeing a few hands raised. She pointed to a girl in one of the middle rows. The girl stood up and spoke, it is the points that we can use for various facilities in the World Academy. We use it as a currency instead of using ore, she explained, making Elsa smile as she gestured for her to sit down. Correct, grade points, also known as GP, will be the money you will earn inside the World Academy. GP can be earned in a class test, during a duel, or by trading with others. There are many ways to earn GP, but the most effective is by having a good rank. As you know, we have a different dormitory for the top 10 rankers, and currently, your year representatives are living there, Elsa pointed in Alyssa and Asher's direction. This invoked jealousy and envy among many students, which was what Elsa wanted. Only the top 10 among the 1,000 first years will get the privilege of living here, she pointed at the screen, which showed the dormitory that Asher and Alyssa saw yesterday. Wow, so cool. Everybody was surprised seeing the building, but Elsa brought their attention back. But only the top 10 can live here. However, this is not the only reason for having a good rank, Elsa said, confusing many students who were still looking at the beautiful building in front of them, imagining what living there would feel like. Depending on your rank, starting from rank 1 to 10, you get 1000 GP monthly. And 11 to 100 will get 500 GP, and 101 to 500 will get 250 GP, and the rest will only get 100 GP each month. You use these GP not only to buy your food but also for everything. There is a certain amount of GP needed to be paid. Many students got nervous because that meant if they did not score a good rank, their life would become even more difficult. Any questions? Elsa asked. What if we have 0 GP? A boy asked. Good question. If any of you ever hit 0 GP, you can ask your friends for a loan. This is why you can trade GP at the trading center, Elsa spoke. Some seniors even post some quests for the juniors or their peers for a certain amount of GP, she said, making the nervous expressions of the students relax a bit. Asher knew about this very well because he was also one of the people who used this function to make others do his tasks in his previous life. Alyssa kept listening carefully, but she was now glad as she looked at 1000 GP in her account. She was quite sure nobody would have loaned her any amount of GP, making her life hell inside the World Academy. One of the things where you can spend your GP is the duel arena by challenging others for a certain amount of GP, Elsa said, making some of the boys excited at the thought of fighting others for money. Even reading books at the library requires GP, and some of the sections are restricted depending on the year you belong to. But if you are in the top 10, i.e., if you are a ranker, you can access them, she added. Any other questions? Elsa asked. Depending on the subject, will we attend lectures with other classes? A boy asked Elsa. Yeah, although you all are in different classes, you will still attend those classes together, Elsa replied, contemporary romance. And if you are wondering what the point is of having 5 different classes, let me tell you that each class will have a different ranking. It is formed in such a way that all 5 classes will have similar strengths, she said. After the assessment test, you will work towards the end-term examination. Depending on your class ranking, you will receive certain benefits. Her words made many students excited. Wait, we will never lose if both of those monsters are in our class, a boy whispered to his desk mate, pointing towards Alyssa and Asher. Other students also had similar thoughts in their minds, but Asher, on the other hand, was not even interested in such talks, and Alyssa was the same. Well, I will give you a day to think about your subject choices. Tomorrow, you need to tell me your elected subjects, Elsa said as she concluded the class. This is all for today. You guys can explore and look around the World Academy for today. And Asher Greville, Alyssa Astaria, both of you follow me to my office, Elsa said as she turned to leave the classroom. Alyssa stood up and took out her wheelchair from the spatial ring she was carrying. PFFT, look at that cripple, a girl laughed as she whispered to her friend. She made sure that no one heard her. Asher also stood up and walked up to the door. It was surprising that he was not reacting despite the fact that he knew people were mocking Alyssa, contemporary romance. Should I come with you? Vanessa asked Alyssa. But Alyssa shook her head, denying Vanessa. Although she was grateful to Vanessa and would repay her debt, it didn't mean that she trusted her. She had seen her own father turn his back on her. In this world, Alyssa knew that the only thing she could trust was her own strength. Asher kept walking behind Elsa, and Alyssa did the same. They passed through the Block 1 exit and walked toward the next block, which was the exchange sector. The exchange sector was the building available for students from every year. This was the place where small distance teleportation gates were placed to go to other facilities inside the World Academy. Good morning, Professor Elsa, a staff member greeted Elsa as she nodded back. Elsa traveled to the faculty block portal and stopped. This is the exchange sector. From here, you can access many facilities, but as you are the year representative, you can access all the portals present here, except 2, Elsa explained. Well, follow me inside, Elsa said as she entered the portal and disappeared. There was a step before the portal, but Alyssa's wheelchair was made in such a way that she would not be hindered due to the difference in terrain and environment. Unless she was in an extreme environment, her wheelchair would not malfunction. She followed Elsa, and after her, Asher did the same. After a sensation of a tiny bit of dizziness, Alyssa found herself in front of a massive building, which was the faculty block. Elsa saw Asher and Alyssa looking up at the building. Huge, right? Elsa spoke, making Alyssa look toward her. This building consists of the office of all the professors inside the World Academy, and depending on their status, some professors, like me, have their own flaws as well, Elsa said with a smile on her face. Status. Alyssa muttered. Yes, even us professors are not equal inside the World Academy, Elsa said as they started walking toward the building, which had around 50 floors. Notice the stars near my insignia, Elsa said, pointing at the overcoat she was wearing. Alyssa noticed that there were 3 stars underneath it. Depending on your importance, the World Academy gives stars to the professors starting from 1 to 3. Well, the head professor and vice principal have 4 stars, and our principal has 5, Elsa entered the building. Most of the professors will have 1 or 2 stars, but because I am an SS rank hunter and my specialization is fire element, I was given 3. 3 of them walked towards the lift area where Elsa put her hands on the identification scanner. Ads by Pub Future. Welcome, Professor Elsa Robles, the robotic voice spoke, and the lift opened. Let's go, she said as all 3 of them entered the lift. Alyssa saw the lift go up and stop on floor 29. This is the floor that was given to me, Elsa said as the lift's door opened, and many staff members carrying stuff were all around the floor. Good morning, Professor Elsa, many people greeted Elsa. Peter, bring me my schedule and other stuff after 10 minutes, Elsa called out a thin-looking guy who quickly nodded at her request. Let's go into my office, Elsa said, and they walked up to a room which had Elsa's nameplate above the door frame. The door opened automatically, and 3 of them entered and looked at a room which had a table in the center with some documents on it. Elsa, instead of going to her table, sat on one of the sofas and gestured for both of them to do the same. Asher and Alyssa quietly sat down on the sofa, and Alyssa took her wheelchair inside her spatial ring. As I told you just now, every professor has a different status, and because you guys are now part of the student council, your authority is more than that of a 1-star professor but less than that of a 2-star professor, Elsa started explaining. Only the student council president and vice president have the authority similar to that of a 2-star professor. But the student council as a whole has similar authority to a 3-star professor, and that means they can challenge a single 3-star professor over some issues, Elsa spoke. What happens after that? Asher questioned Elsa. Well, then we take 4 votes on that matter, Elsa replied. The first 3 votes come from the principal, vice principal, and the head professor, and the last one comes from the student council itself, Elsa said. But Asher questioned her again. What happens when a draw occurs? Well, as you know, there are multiple factions inside the World Academy. Some are necessary, while others are made by and for the influential people inside the World Academy by the students, Elsa said. Well, there is one faction that holds the power to vote when such a situation occurs, and that is the Blood faction. They only take members of the family that have the voting right in the High Council, Elsa said. Well, forget about that for now. What I want to discuss is regarding your position in the student council, Elsa changed the topic. You both have the right to be in the student council, but there have been some issues over you, Miss Alyssa, Elsa looked at Alyssa. Well, I, in particular, do not care about your family, but that is not the case for others. Despite being from the Astaria family, you do carry the blood of your mother, Elsa spoke, making Alyssa glare at her. Calm down, girl. I am neither your enemy nor your friend. I am only here to personally guide you because of this guy right here, Elsa pointed at Asher. His mother is a good friend of mine, and she told me to make sure that you, Miss Alyssa, in particular, do not become a hindrance for him, Elsa said, with a serious look on her face. Smiling face casual date is just a click away. Professor Elsa, can you get to the main point? Asher interrupted Elsa. Beware of the student council president and the blood faction leader, Elsa said as she looked at Asher. In fact, your actions during the tournament and the opening ceremony in particular. I know the Greville family is really powerful and one of the top 3 elite families, but don't forget that your family cannot protect you at all times, Elsa said completely seriously. As per my contract, I can only hinder a little bit to support your actions, but make sure you stay out of trouble, Elsa said. That is all I wanted to say. You can go back and be ready to meet the student council after this, Elsa said, pointing at the door that opened. Asher and Alyssa both went out of the room without saying anything. Sigh. Both of your kids are troublesome, Elsa said as she massaged her forehead. But I don't think your daughter will last long enough, Liz, Elsa muttered. While on her way, she had used her mana sense to probe into Alyssa's body, and what she saw made her a bit sad. Asher and Alyssa were being escorted by a staff member to exit the building. At the same time, inside class one of the first years. Is he a senior? Oh, a student council member. Everyone started gossiping with each other, but they stopped as the guy spoke. Hello, juniors. Do you know where your year representatives are? A kind-looking guy wearing glasses asked. He was wearing a black uniform, which meant he was part of the student council. Oh, they followed Professor Elsa to her office, a guy in the front row replied. Ah, the student council guy frowned a bit, making the student who replied a bit nervous. Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to scare you, the guy smiled again and took back his aura. He went out of the classroom, making everyone in the class a bit relieved. Despite his kind looks and gentle face, his aura was quite oppressive. What happened, Jack? Another person in the black uniform asked. They are in the faculty block, Jack replied with a frown on his face. Let's go wait for them at the exchange sector, Jack said as the guy followed behind him. As both of them left, the people in the classroom were still talking about Jack. Who was that senior? A guy questioned. They were confused by Jack's sudden visit. On the other hand, Vanessa, who was sleeping until Jack's arrival, frowned. These Alistair bastards are so creepy, Vanessa said with a look of disgust on her face. She knew about the children of other elite families because her father had told her about all of them and had told her to avoid them the best she could. And Jack Alistair was one of the people who were in the top 5 of that list. Asher and Alyssa came out of the building and were heading towards the exchange sector to go back. Alyssa was quiet as they got inside the exchange sector, and after their identification, they stopped in front of the portal. Alyssa stepped in, and after her, Asher did the same. They were coming out of the exchange sector when they saw 2 people in black uniforms waiting outside the entry of the exchange sector. Jack looked at Asher, and seeing his red eyes, he immediately knew who Asher was. Asher's face was indifferent, and he did not react at all after seeing Jack and the guy behind him. Jack walked up to Asher and greeted him while maintaining his kind appearance. Hello, I am Jack Alistair, and I am from the student council, Jack introduced himself. I need you guys to come with me because our president wanted to meet you guys, he smiled as he looked at Asher. Alyssa was ignored by both Jack and the guy behind him. Asher's eyes met Jack, and he stood there without saying anything. Jack got confused after getting no reply from Asher. Why is this bastard staying quiet? Jack thought in his mind without a single change in his facial expressions. Tell her, I am busy, Asher replied. Excuse me. Jack got confused by Asher's reply. His reaction was like this because the student council was a symbol of authority, and being a member of the student council, many students respected and feared him. But the person who called Asher and Alyssa was not a normal senior student, it was the student council president herself. She was one of the most talented individuals inside the World Academy, and being a beauty, everyone admired and respected her. After the professors, the most authority lied in the hands of the student council president, and it was a very rare occurrence when someone denied her orders. If it were a senior student who was in some faction, it would make sense, but it was a freshman first year who rejected her invitation blatantly. I don't want to be rude, but you can't reject our president's order, the guy behind Jack spoke with an annoyed look on his face. His voice showed his arrogant nature. Maybe it was the fact he was one of Jack Allister's lackeys, he somehow got the confidence to speak up against Asher. Ads by Pub Future. This idiot, Jack thought in his mind. Oh really, and who are you to tell me? Asher got closer to the senior student. Asher's killing intent started leaking, and the senior year got frozen just by feeling Asher's bloodlust. He was a second-year student who got lucky to get in the student council by following Jack around. He was AD rank hunter, and for a second-year student, this was considered only moderately good. He was not a genius, but not all members of the student council were geniuses. The student council was a combination of many types of students who had their own worth, and unfortunately for this guy, strength was not exactly his main quality. Repeat your words, Asher got closer, but Jack immediately interrupted him. Don't go overboard, Greville, Jack spoke with a serious look on his face. And you apologize to him, Jack turned and looked at the second-year student. I am sorry, he immediately apologized to Asher. He might have been rude, but he is indeed right. You cannot outright reject the president's summon, Jack tried to explain it to Asher. Are you deaf? Asher looked straight into Jack's eyes. Tell your president that we will meet her tomorrow, Asher said, ignoring Jack's advice and forging ahead. Alyssa quietly followed Asher, as she would do what Asher wanted for now, instead of going against him. Wait, Jack, can't you pressure him to go with you? The guy finally spoke out, seeing that Asher was a bit far away now. Come here, Jack pointed at the guy, and as he came near Jack, he saw Jack punch him in the stomach. Urk, cough cough, the guy coughed as he held his stomach with both hands due to the pain. Don't talk in between when I am talking, Jack said as he glared at the guy. His face had completely changed, and his kind appearance was not present at all. If anybody could see his face, they would not even think that he could have a gentle aura around him. Sorry, the guy apologized as he coughed up a bit more. Jack got annoyed with Asher's arrogant nature, but due to the fact that his idiot lackey had acted arrogantly, he could not force Asher to come with him. My reputation will go down in front of the president like this, Jack muttered as he pushed his hair back. But for now, he needed to inform the student council president about Asher's response. Even that pink-haired bitch ignored me. Jack's blood was boiling, seeing that Alyssa also got away with Asher. Oh, isn't this senior Jack? Jack heard some voices as some students came out of the exchange sector. His appearance changed immediately as he picked up the guy and gave him a shoulder. His face had gone back to his usual gentle look. Did some fight happen here? The students talked among themselves as they saw Jack helping the guy. Don't make a fuss here, Jack whispered, making the guy quietly act like he was injured. Senior Jack looks so cool and kind. Isn't he a perfect student? A girl talked. Keep dreaming, he will never become your boyfriend, her friend teased the girl. Jack had carefully maintained his good reputation around the World Academy as a kind person. Only a few people knew about his true personality. Jack was the perfect example of people who will weaken to strong and strong to weak. And due to the fact that he came from an elite family, not many students could harm him. While in a completely different building, a girl with long white hair and light blue eyes was looking at the documents in front of her. Did Jack complete the assignment I gave him? She asked the guy who had just come in. President, actually, that Asher Greville has rejected your invitation and told Jack that he will come tomorrow, the guy nervously told the girl in front of her, contemporary romance. Oh, the girl looked up, and a smile appeared on her face. I didn't think that somebody would reject my invitation, and a first year as well, she said as the room got a bit heavy. Let's do the meeting tomorrow then, a guy replied, who was also present in the room. That boy is the heir of the Greville family, and we should avoid conflicts from our side, he suggested to the white-haired girl. Eva and Elena told him about his rotten personality, but I didn't think he would be this rude, the girl spoke. Sigh. Let's do the meeting tomorrow, but we need to teach our juniors how to respect their seniors a bit, she said as a cold smile appeared on her face. After the first class, there were no other classes, so the students were mostly exploring the World Academy. It was evening, and Asher was sitting in his living room, using his computer to gather information about the outside world. After doing this for about half an hour, he got up and removed his t-shirt, exposing his well-chiseled body. He then changed into gym attire. He walked up to the room that said, "Meditation Chamber," and opened it. This room was covered with white tiles, with a black spot in the middle. He wanted to break through to D rank, as he had been at the peak of A+ rank for a week now. This was one of the reasons why he did not accept the invitation of the student council president today and wanted to meet them tomorrow. He waited to break through inside the World Academy because he could see Alyssa most of the time without forcing her to meet him. Alyssa was like a cure for Asher. He was controlling his inner madness because of the fact that he could see Alyssa. He himself didn't know why he felt calm around Alyssa, neither in his previous life nor in this one. He remembered the warning Nathan gave him regarding the rune of Airden and how he would have to fight his bad memories whenever he ranked up. So, after getting inside the World Academy, Asher decided to finally break through to D rank. He had wasted enough time at A+ rank, and he knew that he needed to become stronger faster than in his previous life to actually change his destiny. He went and sat around the center and crossed his legs, sitting in a meditation pose. After a while, the mana around the room started to flow inside Asher's body. Instead of flowing inside his whole body, the mana was trying to circle around the mana core and the rings around it. This was a delicate step that needed to be performed carefully, as implications during the ring formation could greatly affect the rank up. In the VIP dormitory, Elena, Eva, and Kevin were talking in the lobby while munching on some snacks they took from the cafeteria in the VIP dormitory. "Did you get any reply from your sister?" Eva asked Kevin. "No. And I don't need my sister to handle that bastard either," Kevin got annoyed remembering Ash's face. "It was only because I was careless and due to him being above me by a minor rank," Kevin said as they sat on the sofas that were present in the common lobby. "I was told that some people from the student council came to class 1 but it seems like that guy rejected the invitation," Elena said. Although Ash's presence instilled fear in her heart, Elena Rothschild was not a weak girl either. She knew that beating Asher was not possible for now. Even Kevin, who was a prodigy in her eyes, was defeated by him. But she was not going to let Asher humiliate her the second time. "It seems there are already some people here," a voice made all three of them look back. It was Damien who had come down to get some snacks for himself. "What do you want?" Kevin frowned and asked Damien. "Contemporary romance." "Me? What would a loser like you give me?" Damien provoked Kevin with a smirk on his face. Kevin got angry and he stood up, but Elena stopped Kevin by grabbing his shoulder. "You are not invited here, Damien Seymour," Elena said as she looked at Damien. "Haha, you guys are too funny," Damien laughed, and his laughter annoyed the three of them even further. "Oh no, don't glare at me like this," Damien acted funny, seeing three glares coming his way. Just as all this was happening, another guy showed up in the lobby. It was Sam Allister, who had come down just now and saw Damien laughing loudly. "What's happening here?" Sam thought in his mind, but he just left quietly as he was in no mood to get in any quarrels. "You have got guts to mock three people from the elite families," Eva said with a serious look on her face. "I would give you one piece of advice: don't let your friendship with that guy get to your head." Eva warned Damien. "Exactly. Do you think those Greville bastards will stand up for you?" Kevin mocked the whole Greville family, which surprised Elena and Eva. Ads by Pub Future. It was quite bold of him to say something like that, but they did not correct Kevin. Their hatred for Asher had grown quite a bit, and all three of them pretty much hated the Greville family. "Who are you calling bastards?" Amelia said as she came down. Her face was cold, and she looked directly at Kevin. This made Kevin a bit awkward because he did not completely hate Amelia. On the other hand, he still wanted to be friends with her despite his feud with Asher. "Do you have a problem?" Elena spoke as she looked at Amelia. "I did what you wanted," Damien muttered in his mind as he looked at the situation in front of him. Meanwhile, Asher was trying to break through to D rank while all this was happening. The mana inside Asher's body was running amok as he tried to force it to revolve around his mana core. During the rank up of an awakened person, it was necessary to increase the density inside the core, which was the mana heart, and also successfully form a ring around the mana core. Both of these steps were crucial factors in deciding the increase in strength a person would get due to their rank up. It was evident that people in the same rank did not have similar strength at all. Both of these factors were linked to the substantial increase in the overall strength of the person. Asher's body was full of sweat, but his expressions were calm. This process was not a painful one, but it required immense concentration. Asher felt as if his body was submerged deep inside a lake due to the increasing concentration of mana all around his body. He was not moving the mana around his mana veins, so the excess mana was forming a thin shell all around Asher's body. Inside Asher's body, a thin thread of dense mana was circulating around the mana core as it was getting into a circular shape, forming another ring around his mana core. Suddenly, a wave of mana went around the whole room. Asher had successfully formed a mana ring around his core. He had successfully completed his first step, and all he needed to do now was to increase the density inside his core. Due to the formation of the ring, the mana was gradually filling the core, but the pressure from the rings around it prevented the enlargement of the core. The ring formation was done first so that the existing rings could exert enough pressure to increase the density of mana inside the mana core while also maintaining its size. The mana kept filling the core and had reached its limit now. But Asher did not stop. He wanted to test the limit of his mana core a bit more. He forced a bit more mana inside his core. At first, the mana was getting repelled, but due to Asher's constant use of force, the last bit of mana went inside the core. Asher finally stopped pushing his limits. His body was sweating a lot, and his whole body was heating up. Asher used his mana circulation technique and connected all the mana veins, increasing the overall strength of his body. The connection of his mana veins was cut off until now, but now that his body could finally access his mana core, Asher could feel that his strength was rising. He heard a sound of notification, and he had expected it to show soon enough. Host had increased his from A+ to D rank. Rune of Aearden is activating. Host's intelligence is negating the side effects. Closing square bracket. Side effects partially negated. He remembered that the rune of Aearden somehow could make the bearer of the rune fall and experience their worst nightmares. But due to his high intelligence stat, the side effect was mostly negated, leaving him to just see a glimpse of the past. Asher felt as though he were in a dreamlike state, but he couldn't remember when it had started. Suddenly, memories of his past life came flooding back to him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. From a very young age, Asher felt an urge to kill everything around him. It was as if something inside him wanted to destroy everything in sight. As a result, he found it difficult to communicate with others normally. Ugh, he constantly groaned, gripping his head due to the voices he kept hearing. After his birthday party, his condition was getting even worse. He avoided interacting with others because he was aware that he was not like others. 1 or 2 weeks after his birthday party, news of the sudden death of Nathan Greville spread to the whole Greville family. Papi da J knew A1, SOM the world had lost an SSS rank hunter, and it was a great loss for all of humanity, but for some people, it was the greatest blessing they could ever get. It was only an hour later when Arthur received this news. He flared his mana and ran with his sword out towards the lost land. He arrived there after using the portal at their guild headquarters, but all he could see were countless monsters and a huge crater in the ground due to the mana explosion. Arthur could still see monsters eating the remains of the other guild members that were outside and far from the dungeon. Vice Guild Master, a member of the Abyss Guild, shouted upon seeing that Arthur had gone berserk as his mana ran wild, making it hard for others to approach him. Arthur usually had a carefree aura about him. After the death of his brother Ivar, he started behaving a bit more cheerfully as a way to cope. But upon hearing the news of his father's death, his mask shattered, and his ruthless nature emerged. Although other S-rank hunters from the Abyss Guild were present, no one had the courage to step in and stop Arthur as he wildly killed one monster after another. He was consumed by his rage and sadness as he continued to slay beast after beast. Arthur was a peak S-rank hunter who could even rival some early SS rank hunters. Even for other S-rank hunters, stopping Arthur in his current state was an immensely difficult challenge, as he was consumed by his rage. They were waiting for SS rank hunters to arrive and somehow stop Arthur. "Stop, Arthur?" Sylvie hugged Arthur, who was breathing heavily and looking for his next target. Sylvie placed her head on his back. Hearing her voice, Arthur finally came to his senses, but his heart was still full of sorrow and anger. "It's enough, let's go back," Sylvie spoke, but approaching Arthur resulted in her getting badly hurt due to his rampant aura. Arthur did not move, nor did he reply, but after a few seconds, a roar of man could be heard near the vicinity of the Lost Lands. Sylvie did not let go of Arthur, despite the fact that she had multiple cuts on her face and hands. She knew he needed her the most right now. Even the Abyss Guild members could do nothing as they let their heads down and mourned the death of their guild master. And this was the day when the first step towards the eventual downfall of the Greville family was taken. "Chairman, Nathaniel Greville has died," a man hurriedly informed the man sitting in front of him. Hehehehehaha, the man sitting in the seat laughed crazily. "Here I was thinking how to handle that old bastard, but it seems even the gods are on my side." His words made the man who reported the news in front of him shake a bit. "Tell the Alistair family, we will begin with our plans," he said as the man bowed and left the room. It was a week after the death of Nathaniel Greville, and the atmosphere inside the Greville estate was quite gloomy. Arthur and Sylvie were busy because the fall of Nathan was the signal for many hidden enemies to finally bare their fangs towards each other. It was 2 weeks after Nathan Greville's death that his funeral was held. Many influential people, including most of the High Council, attended the gathering. Even the principal of World Academy, who rarely left the floating island where the academy was located, came to show respect for the deceased SSS rank hunter. Amelia had moist eyes and was sitting with Sylvie, while Asher was sitting with Arthur, but unlike his family, his face was indifferent. It was as if he didn't care about the current situation. Some people who noticed Asher's expression insulted him for being so cold to his own family. But unlike others, Arthur and Sylvie did not mind Asher's expression. They knew their son the best and had long accepted his cold nature. Sylvie was more worried about Asher now because she felt he was avoiding people even more than before. Arthur was busy meeting others. David Seymour helped him a lot by greeting people on his behalf. David was an SS rank hunter, and his support greatly helped Arthur. But the Grevilles were not that weak, and the biggest support came from Sylvie's family, the Raven family. As soon as Alfred got the news of Nathan's death, he informed his wife, the guildmaster who was under the Raven family. Normally, the Grevels would have faced many assassination attempts on their important executives, but it was Sylvie's mother who had given the highest degree order in their guild. In a week alone, many people were dying in Somaria, and most of them were people who were trying to oppose the Grevels. Guildmaster, the World Association has given us a warning to stop the hunt, a man spoke with his head bowed down. In front of him was a woman who looked old, but the man knew her true strength. She was one of the reasons none of the elite family had tried to weaken the Grevels openly. My daughter is quite busy these days. Tell that old fool of the World Association that I will stop if those stupid pests stop bothering my little girl, she spoke, but her voice alone chilled the spine of the man. As you wish, he bowed again to show his respect and immediately left the room. A month had passed already, and Asher's condition was getting worse. Asher had stopped attending dinner with his family, and most of the time, he spent it in his room or the library in their estate. Sylvie was getting worried for her son because she wanted him to do his awakening a bit early, but seeing Asher, who was even more distant now, she did not force him. Damien had come to talk to Asher many times, but even he could feel that Asher was acting strange. Amelia only talked to Damien a bit more, but after the incident at the birthday party, she found it incredibly difficult to speak with Asher anymore. Even living in the same house, Amelia rarely saw Asher, and she kept thinking that it was due to the fact she might have angered him at the party. But she was completely wrong. Asher, who was in his room, was staring at himself in the mirror. Unlike the new Asher, the previous Asher was lean, but he had no visible muscles. He still looked handsome and quite charming. Asher got back to his bed. His room was devoid of light, and he had shut down all curtains and told everybody to stay away from his room. Ads by Pub Future. Why am I so different? Asher could not help but ask himself. From a young age, Asher had noticed that he was quite different from other people. In his eyes, the world was always grey, devoid of any colors. No matter what happened to him or others, his emotions were never shaken. Seeing Arthur emotionally agitated after Nathan's death, he started to think that something was wrong with him. He had never seen his parents so emotional before. He was quite young when Ivor died, so it was his first time seeing them in a vulnerable state, even if that lasted only a couple of days. Arthur had accepted his reality and was now gathering multiple gems to rush himself to rise to SS rank soon. Ugh! A sudden headache made Asher groan on his bed. This was getting more frequent these days. He was getting this urge to destroy everything around him. He had tried to take many pills to calm himself down, but their effect was decaying. And he thought that it was better for him to stay away from others until he managed to find a way to calm himself down. Asher suddenly stood up and walked up to his drawer, took out a sharp object, and stabbed himself in his arm. He clenched his teeth as he endured the pain. He took the object out and drank a lowest rank healing potion, then wrapped his wound with some bandages. This was the only thing he had found that helped him suppress his urges. Yes, by injuring himself so that the pain would overwhelm his urges. From a young age, Asher could feel that he had some kind of madness inside him. It was controllable when he was young, but as he learned the basic martial arts, he found it much harder. Asher concluded that he had some kind of mental illness and stopped training altogether. He wanted to get himself in control first before he got consumed by his madness. He had rejected a teacher that Arthur brought who wanted to teach him runes and other basic stuff for the same reason. People around him misunderstood that he wanted to be lazy, but the teacher did not think the same. I think that boy wants to avoid getting stronger for some reason, Neiman told Arthur, who was sitting in his office drinking tea with Neiman. Arthur nodded slowly. I understand what you mean. Asher has always been different. It's something that Sylvie and I have accepted about him. But seeing him like this, it's hard not to worry. Contemporary romance. I think you should let him do as he wants for now. I found that boy's views quite interesting for a 9-year-old, Neiman laughed. Although he asked me to find fault in his ideas, I could not find fault in them. He is quite an intelligent fellow, Arthur, but his thoughts are unlike those of a child. In the end, Arthur thought he should let Asher do whatever he wants for now, and Sylvie told him that she would take care of Asher and teach him about her work instead. Asher agreed to Sylvie's proposal as he thought that it would be a good way for him to learn how to imitate others and appear more normal. And this was how Asher impressed Sylvie with his talent in business and his great insights. But, unlike what Asher thought, stopping himself from increasing his strength did not help him at all. He had confronted Sylvie in the past once and asked if she thought he was normal or not. But as a mother, Sylvie always cheered him on instead of finding faults in him. For her, Asher only seemed like a calm boy with great intelligence. "You are so smart, how could mommy find you weird?" Sylvie said with warm look on his face as she kissed the young Asher on his cheeks. "You are my pride," she hugged him with a smile on her face. Sylvie thought that Asher had heard something negative about him and asked her about it. However, Asher still asked the doctors of the estate for a checkup on his body, and all of them told him that he was perfectly healthy. He had researched his problem and found that no solution worked. He tried to act like a friend to Damien, but even after many years of friendship, Asher did not feel a connection with Damien or any other person whom he often met. Asher was studying many calming reagents in the library of his estate, but unfortunately, there was no cure for mental illness in this world, despite having mana and technology. If they had something that could help with such problems, the space element would have been the greatest element in the whole world, but it was not. The space element was powerful, but the mental strain it gave made it impossible to have any space mages who lived more than 27 to 30 years, and given that they did not use the space element often in their spells. It was 2 days before the World Academy would begin, and Asher had finally gone through his awakening. Arthur had given Asher an A-rank mana gem for his awakening, and Asher did great as his awakening lasted for 3 hours and 20 minutes. Arthur was happy to see that Asher was talented, but Asher was calm and was observing himself with even more caution. He was concerned about how he would fare now that he was finally awakened. A day before his awakening, he had gotten the news that his sister had won the representative tournament, and the other winner was from the Whiteheart family. Damien was the most depressed as he had lost to Kevin. Matthew, another talented individual, was defeated when Sam fought him, but even Sam Alistair could not defeat Kevin in the end. Kevin had won without even showing his advance element. But the most interesting thing that happened was the duel between Elena and Alyssa Astaria. "Did you know a girl from the Garcia family attended the tournament?" Damien said as he was spending some time with Asher who had just awakened. Asher was practicing some of his basic sword movements and getting a bit more familiar with it. "She was allowed?" Asher asked, but his expression was indifferent as he did not care about it. "Yeah, but apparently, she used 2 advance elements," Damien spoke as he kept watching Asher move around with the sword. "But she ran out of mana and was badly beaten by Elena Rothschild, but she took down some other girl that was assisting Elena. Honestly, I was surprised that Amelia won against Elena and Eva." "Good for her," Asher replied as he stopped and wiped the sweat from his face. "Hey, are you feeling okay?" Damien asked, his expression filled with concern. He was feeling that Asher was not normal these days.